Okay, think about your job for a second. I mean, really think about it. Whether you love it, hate it, or you're just counting down the minutes to 5 o'clock, there is a hidden science that shapes almost everything about your workday. We're talking about how you got hired, why your boss is the way they are, and even that amazing feeling you get on a Friday afternoon. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and look at the psychology of the workplace.
You know, so many of us got a crash course in this during the pandemic, right? All of a sudden, our homes became our offices. And as this quote points out, our pets became our coworkers. I'm sure you saw the pictures. That whole massive shift really forced us to look at our jobs in a totally new way. And it turns out there's a whole field of science dedicated to doing exactly that.
And that brings us right to our first section, the science of work. Because yes, there is an entire branch of psychology that focuses on our 9-to-5s, our side hustles, and pretty much everything in between. It's called industrial and organizational psychology, or you'll usually just hear it called IO psychology for short. You can think of it as the blueprint for the entire modern workplace. It tackles everything from how companies pick the perfect person for a job to why office politics are even a thing and what actually motivates us to do good work.
So this field is really broken into two halves. You've got the industrial side, the I. This is all the nuts and bolts, the mechanics of the job. It's all about efficiency, hiring the right people, and making things run smoothly. Then you have the organizational side, the O, and that is all about the human element. We're talking job satisfaction, how we get along with our coworkers, and the overall vibe of the place.
Now, historically, these two sides came from totally different ways of thinking. Way back, you had something called scientific management, which basically saw workers as cogs in a machine. The goal was just maximum efficiency. But then, this series of studies at a factory called the Hawthorne Works changed everything. Researchers were trying to see what would increase productivity. They changed the lighting, the brakes, the pay, and no matter what they did, productivity went up. And the reason? It turned out the workers were just happy that someone was paying attention to them. This discovery, called the Hawthorne effect, started the human relations approach, which finally recognized, hey, we're people with feelings and motivations, not just machines.
So how does all this science actually play out in the real world? Well, let's start at the very beginning with part 1, getting the job. This is all about how companies find you and how you get your foot in the door.
So how do people land jobs these days? This data is pretty fascinating. You see career websites right up there at the top, which makes sense. But look at referrals. They're right there with them, neck and neck. It just proves that old saying is still true. Sometimes it really is about who you know.
But before a company can even post that job opening, they have to do something called a job analysis. This is where they dig deep into a role to figure out the essential knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics, or what they call KSAOs, that someone absolutely needs to have to succeed.
And this analysis isn't just some internal HR paperwork, it has huge legal weight. The Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, says that companies can only judge you on the essential functions of a job. Things that are nice to have but not critical, they can't hold those against you. This is how fairness gets built right into the hiring process.
All right, now we're at the main event, the interview. We all know the kind we prefer, right? The unstructured, free-flowing chat. But here's the problem. It is incredibly prone to bias. We fall for what's called the interviewer illusion, this feeling that we're a brilliant judge of character after just a 30-minute conversation. The truth is, a structured interview, where every single candidate gets the exact same questions, is way more fair and a much, much better predictor of who will actually be good at the job.
Okay, so you did it. You got the job. Congratulations. But now the real journey begins. That brings us to part 2, surviving the day-to-day, which is all about management and what keeps us motivated.
I want you to think about your current boss, or maybe a past one. Do they fit into one of these two categories? You've got the Theory X manager, who basically thinks you're lazy and need to be watched like a hawk. Then there's the Theory Y manager, who believes you're naturally motivated and trusts you with freedom and responsibility. I mean, this one simple difference can explain so much about our daily life at work.
But hey, being a manager isn't the same thing as being a leader, and leadership styles can be all over the map. You might have a transactional leader. It's a simple exchange. You do good work, I reward you. Or maybe you have a transformational leader, the kind that inspires everybody with a huge vision. Then there are servant leaders who always put their team first, and authentic leaders who just lead with honesty and strong moral character. The person at the top really does set the tone for everyone.
So, with all that in mind, let's turn it back to you for a second. How do you personally see your work? This is such a powerful question. Is it just a job, for a paycheck? Is it a career for climbing the ladder? Or is it something more?
This is fascinating. Research found that people doing the exact same work can see it in 3 totally different ways. They looked at hospital maintenance workers. For some, it was just a job, a way to pay the bills. For others, it was a career, a way to get promoted. But for a third group, it was a calling. They saw their work as a mission to help sick people. And probably no surprise here, that third group was by far the happiest and most satisfied.
Okay, so let's zoom out. It's not just about you and your boss, right? It's about the entire atmosphere. And that brings us to part 3, the workplace vibe, or what IO psychologists call organizational culture.
Organizational culture is basically the collection of unwritten rules. It's those shared values and norms that answer that big question, how do we really do things around here? It dictates everything, from how people dress to whether it's okay to talk directly to the CEO.
So, what makes a great culture? Well, it doesn't just happen by accident. It's built on purpose. It starts with compassionate leadership, clear policies that value fairness, and a real commitment to work-life balance. It's a place where good work gets noticed and where you can actually talk openly with people.
But on the flip side, a culture can become toxic. And one of the most damaging examples of a toxic culture is sexual harassment. Now, this isn't just someone being inappropriate. It's an illegal form of discrimination, and it's defined as any unwelcome behavior of a sexual nature that offends, humiliates, or intimidates someone.
Legally, harassment usually falls into 2 buckets. The first is quid pro quo, which literally means this for that. This is when a job benefit, like getting hired or avoiding a bad review, is tied to submitting to sexual demands. The second is a hostile work environment. This is where the conduct, think constant inappropriate jokes or suggestive remarks, is so severe or pervasive that it just interferes with your ability to do your job.
All of this, the good, the bad, and the complicated, brings us to our conclusion: work, stress, and you. We're going to look at where our jobs, the stress they cause, and our overall well-being all come together.
When all that work stress becomes chronic and you just can't manage it anymore, it can lead to burnout. And this isn't just about feeling tired. It's a very specific state of deep emotional exhaustion, a cynical feeling towards your job, and this sense that you're just not effective anymore. It's that feeling of being completely drained, overworked, and totally underappreciated.
So what's the antidote? Well, for starters, you probably need a vacation. This study is incredible. It shows that people's health complaints absolutely plummet right after they take some time off. But look closely. Those benefits can fade pretty quickly. And what this tells us is that vacations aren't a luxury. They are an essential and regular part of managing the stress that comes with work.
And this brings everything right back to you. Because if there's one major takeaway from all this science, it's this. While we can't always change our boss or the company culture, we do have power over our own mindset. We can actively shape our jobs to find more meaning. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. Knowing that you can change things, how can you start crafting your current job into your calling?